Welcome back, everyone. I'm Gabriel. You're watching Drum Tip Tuesday, and today we're going to talk about how I make shorts. And in case you don't know what that is, all right, first things first, content. It's not really content in that it's prepared material. What you're watching every time I make a short is just a practice session. I had a book by Peter Erskine. It was either Drum Concepts and Techniques or it was The Drum Perspective, one of those. Anyways, he said you should always record yourself. When I was in college, we didn't have any drum set lessons. I just learned timpani, vibraphone, marimba, etc., etc. So I kind of had to teach myself drum set, so I got those books and began to do so. I recorded myself playing along to, kind of dating myself now, it's a song that was called Two Princes. It was by a band called Spin Doctors, and the drummer was, I'll put it here, Aaron Combs or something of that nature. Anyways, I'll write it down here. Gotta give him credit. Really funky groove, really great ghost stroke pattern in that. And I thought that was pretty funky. I could easily learn the pattern. But here's the thing. I had to record myself to hear what I sounded like when I was trying to play like him. So I got this janky little setup so you can hear the track and hear me playing, and I played. And it was bad. It was so bad. Words can't even begin to describe it, so I'm not going to even try to describe it. The thing is, I had the ear of a musician, even though I wasn't much of a drummer. I knew exactly what was wrong because I recorded myself, right? And then I listened back to it, corrected it, did it again, listened, fixed. The most important thing I ever did for my drum set playing, all of my drum set playing, was to record myself. And so ever since then, every time I have access to recording implements, I use them. That is what you're looking at, just me practicing. I set up the audio, I go back to my kit, set up the camera, hit record on the audio, hit record on the video. I go into it and I just start playing. I start playing ideas for 10 minutes, 10 minutes. Why 10 minutes? Because the commercial grade DSLR camera can only capture 10 consecutive minutes of video. If I take that 10 minutes, and it's just improvised, just stuff off the top of my head, I've become a little better at it now after watching myself do it, and that I can think in 1 minute ideas, approximately 1 minute ideas. And so I take the audio, take the video capture, put both of those in Premiere Pro, using Premiere Pro right now, and I get those in sync, do a little bit of adjustment to the color, not much, do a little bit of adjustment to the audio, just making sure it doesn't peak, don't want to see any red in the meters there. And then I proceed to chop it up as intelligently as I can into 1 minute or less fragments, because your shorts, in case you didn't know, have to be 1 minute or less. I then take those and I upload them, schedule them. That's my shorts. Funny thing, or reason why I keep doing more shorts, is that shorts have been providing for me a lot of subscribers, a lot of views, a lot of success online. And speaking of success, I'd like to succeed a little bit more on the long format, so if you could help a guy out, share this video, it'd be greatly appreciated. The gear. If you're going to capture audio and video, now we want to know what we're going to use to do that. For me, first of all, the camera is a Canon EOS Rebel T3i. Now, you may say, why the T3i? For me, it's about that little window that opens up on the side that allows you to see what you're filming while you're filming it. And if it's yourself, it's great to flip that little screen around and be able to do that. They have now cameras, or after the T3i, at least Canon did make cameras that came with a separate attachment. Now, the bad thing about that is for people that are filming themselves. First of all, you have to buy a separate piece of gear. The next thing is, I don't care how well they say that thing's on there, it's going to fall off when I'm trying to mount my camera above my drums, which I do all the time. The lens, once again, Canon EFS 24mm f-stop of 2.8. You say, what's the big deal about an f-stop of 2.8? It's the f-stop that allows you to get that depth of field or that nice focus. Like right now, you can tell you see in my face, but if I get out of the shot, You can see all that back there. Real nice, blurred out thing. It's something to get. And the way we get it here is on the cheap. I think you can get that lens for, oh man, as of the recording of this video, I think it's down around like $120, just $140 maybe. And for a lens, that is fantastic. The lights that I use mounted above my drums are the, you have to make sure you say that right, Neewer. It's N-E-E-W-E-R, not newer, but like what I just said. They're dimmable, they're bicolor, which means they're that bright white color and also that tungsten or sort of yellowish, orangish color. And there's a trick that I do with the color, particularly in these shorts. A lot of times I put the bright white light that I talked about on the side where the camera is seeing me so that you can see me. And then also I put on the other side the yellower light. You'll notice that I have yellow lights or sort of tungsten style light or what's normal indoor lighting. And when you have those lights as they are in those videos in the background, they look less believable unless there's something else shining on the subject from the back or just off to the side here that's the same color as that. As a matter of fact, I'm doing it right now. It's less believable unless I have this light right here. I'm just gonna pull it on camera. That thing, it's not pretty, kind of an ugly setup, a little improvised. But unless I have that, making it a little bit yellow right here so that those lights are more believable, I do the same sort of thing when I'm doing those shorts. Last but not least, we have the, once again, that silly name, Neewer motorized 31.5-inch camera slider. Thing about camera sliders and all this gear, and try to sum it up, is that you want to pay a good price for it, okay? And I mention this with the slider because it's the only thing that I'm going to talk about today that I really feel like I paid a little too much for it. I think it was in like the high 200s, like 260 something, and it didn't come with legs. I had to buy real cheap tripods to put on either side of the thing so that I could use it, and it just slides the camera back and forth. I mean, it's a great thing, and so many people ask me about it all the time, but in reality, it's just a thing that makes the camera go from here to here to here while it's looking at the subject, right? So I feel like I paid a little bit too much about that, but there's not much I could do. I got it used, got the cheapest version of it I could that would actually work. And that's what you really want to do. Like with the camera, the Canon cameras, oh man, the T3i right now, you can get that for a sweet price and it works. People who buy cameras, expensive stuff like that, they tend to take care of it. So you can go on eBay and get that. I think I got the camera body. You know, I have two Canon T3i's in this studio and I think I got each one, not together, but each one individually for less than I paid for the slider, which is kind of ridiculous. That lens, like I said, it was a good buy, and the lights, they're a little expensive, but not too expensive. Just make sure you get the right kind. Don't get those big soft boxes unless you have really high ceilings. Audio gear. I'm not going to spend too much time here. That's not the focus of this video, but just briefly, if you're listening to the sound of these drums and you like them on the shorts, here's basically how I'm getting it. I have the mics all over the drums. My drums are mic'd up. I like a lot of options, and I have them. I have every drum close mic'd on a 7-piece kit, plus I have one under the snare, one outside of the kick in addition to the one inside the kick, and dedicated hi-hat and overheads. The only thing I'll say about the quality of it or getting good sound is that you want to put your most quality microphones in the key places. Overheads, right? Overheads. I use a stereo pair of AKG 214s. Quite nice, reminiscent of the 414s, nowhere near as expensive, right? That whole price thing. In the kick, I have the D112, I believe. It's my favorite kick drum mic, even from when I was young playing. I always knew I was gonna like what I got out of the kick drum when I saw the sound man coming at me with one of those things. Next, good old reliable SM57 Shure on the snare drum. I put all that into some modest preamps. I just have a Quantum interface, and to expand that, I have a Behringer expansion unit just so I have more inputs because like I said, I have like 13 mics back there. I run that into an old Mac that's running Pro Tools, and I mix in there. Putting it all together, the lights, I just make sure that I light it nice and bright. I make sure that there's a light on camera so that when the camera pans back and forth, you can kind of see that moving. It really shows you in that very short amount of time, like a minute or maybe just 45 seconds, that there's just some action there. Makes it more interesting. The lights overhead are on. They are just bright, pretty much as bright as I can get them. Cool light on the side, that's the white light, right? On the side where the camera is. Warm light on the side where the light is, so that it looks a little bit more believable, right? Remember that part of the video? And the camera itself is on the slider just off to my left, right? I mean, you can tell that by the videos, but it's just off to my left, maybe 3 foot at most. So how does one person manage all of these things? Well, there's 2 things to consider. First thing is the camera. I just turn the camera on. I don't have a remote control for the camera. I just turn it on, go back behind the drums, and now when I'm behind the drums, I do have a remote for that slider. That slider has a remote control, so it's off when I put the camera on. Just hit the remote, boom, it starts moving. Now I have action. That's all the video. The audio, a little more complicated. The thing that captures the audio is actually on the other side of the room. That's my Mac, running Pro Tools. On that, I have a monitor over by the drums. It's above the camera. You can't see it, but say I'm sitting here, drums are here, the camera's sliding here, just off to the camera, there's a monitor. You'll see me look up every once in a while at it. That's how I can tell that it's still on. And I use that and just a remote mouse to click and turn on the recording for the audio. I go for my 10 minutes and then I turn it all off, go over to the computer, chop it all up, and I got my shorts. And I thank you for coming to check this out. I hope you got something that you like. Comment and let me know if there's something that I left out, like the microphones, for instance. If you want to know more about that stuff, want to know more about the drums. Actually, if you want to know more about the drums, I made a dedicated video all about the drums that I use, and I also made a dedicated video all about the cymbals that I use. So I already did those ones. If you want to know about the mics, want to know more about the cameras, just want to know more, come back and see me, comment, let me know what you want to know more about. Until next time, I'm Gabriel, you've been watching Drum Tip Tuesday.